What is up, everybody? So I made a TikTok video on this, but I want to get on here and make a longer form video on this new saw. This is the new Dewalt 20 volt brushless 12-inch sliding miter saw. And I'm going to take you handheld here for a second and kind of do a walkthrough on this and show you guys some of the things that I've noticed, differences between this saw and the corded saw and that kind of thing. All right, so I've been running this saw about a week and a half now. This was my primary saw before. This is just the old faithful Dewalt 12-inch slide miter. Only thing I've really done to this saw is I added the Kaizen fences and a zero clearance insert that's not really zero clearance anymore, but nonetheless, this is the new 20 volt brushless 12-inch slide miter. And I bought this saw. A couple people told me that they loved it. I bought it. My only concern was with battery life. I wasn't sure how the 20 volt batteries would hold up. I know they make a 60 volt version and I was gonna buy, and then I saw this one at Lowe's and thought I'd give it a try. And I've been really impressed. Turn back around here. I've been really impressed with it. We ran it, myself and my helper were both using this saw. He was running baseboard and shoe mold, and I was running some crown. So we're both using the saw all day long. And I was just using a 6 amp hour battery. They recommend an 8 with this saw. We had a 6 in it, and it ran basically all day on one battery. I ended up putting another battery in it maybe the last hour of the day because it was starting to get a little weak. But other than that, it ran all day on one battery. With one of the bigger batteries, I probably wouldn't have even had to change it out. But I'm just gonna show you guys a couple differences in these saws. Okay, so first thing I noticed was here. So to adjust the angle on the saw, on the corded version, you have a thumb switch you have to push, which is annoying if you've locked your saw down and you're trying to store it away for the day and you need to move that. It's hard to get your thumb in under the guard. On this one, it's got a trigger. It's got the same blade lock as the other, but it's got a trigger, so it's much easier to it's just more natural for me to grab that and pull the trigger to move it than it is to use my thumb. Second thing that I noticed, probably the biggest thing that I noticed, is the dust collection. So the dust chute on this one, as you can see, it comes here, so it's right up against the blade, and it comes out on the top of the saw. And that is amazing, because if you've ever used this one, and I've already broke this off because this is notorious for breaking, but the dust chute is lower, as you can see already, and it has this long tube that runs all the way out the back, and that will get clogged up every single time. Either it gets clogged up or it just doesn't. The saw doesn't push the dust out, it just pushes it out around it and makes a mess. That's the worst thing. That's probably the biggest gripe that everyone has with this saw, is the dust collection port on it. But they fixed it on this one. That's a much better design, and I understand why they didn't do it here. You've got the motor in the way and everything that you don't have here, but that's horrible. Outside of that, the saws are really similar. Like I said, other than the motor, I mean, you can see the motor on this one versus this one. It's a much smaller, obviously it's battery powered, it's a much smaller design than this one. You don't have the motor sticking out over here. And I noticed a lot of times with cutting with this one, that gets in the way sometimes. And I find that this saw will hit if I'm cutting taller material. This one doesn't, but I'm pretty sure it's just because I have the fences on here that brings the wood out a little bit further. So I may have that same problem cutting taller material once I put the Kaizen fences on this saw. Another big thing that I noticed, if you've ever used this saw, you probably have this muscle memory. When you pull the trigger, the blade jumps. I'm gonna show you. So the blade jumps on that one. It's a really hard, fast start, and the blade jumps. So you're pushing down as you pull the trigger on this saw. It's just something you learn how to do. This one doesn't do that. It's got a soft start. So when you pull the trigger on this one, there's almost no bounce to the blade, and the blade starts a little bit slower, which took some getting used to. But once I got used to it, I like that 100 times more than I do this one. That's the biggest differences. I noticed too, this lock for the slide. So when you're storing it, you can lock the slide in place. On my corded version, there's no lock on the back. You can only lock it pushed all the way back. On this one, you can extend it out and lock it, or you can push the saw in and lock it either way. So that's a nice little feature that they added to the saw. But yeah, that's the biggest differences. Other than that, they're very similar saws. The bounce when you start the saw and the angle adjustment and the dust port are really the biggest differences in those two saws, and I think the biggest improvements to this saw. But overall, it's a great tool. Like I said, I'm going to use it some more. I'm starting a new house next week, and I'm going to be using it some more, and I'll kind of keep you guys posted. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, you guys have a good one.